Geez, it's a good time to be a wrestler, though. Glory Pro is thriving. There's a bunch of indies thriving. And Curt Stallion, you yourself are thriving. In fact, I use you as an example when I talk to a lot of young guys that, like, want to make it in wrestling and what it takes to make it in wrestling. And I always kind of point to you and on a little bit of a smaller scale, Cody Lane, because Cody Lane's really out there busting his ass and, like, putting in the miles and the time and, like, sacrificing and like, it's been a few years for you now, but it's you think it's about time it's paying off, huh?
Bro, whenever I started getting flights, I realized, like, it started paying off.
Yeah.
I never had that, like, occurrence in my brain of, like, man, what I'm doing right now is really paying off. I just, all I thought was work. Like, I didn't think of a payoff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I finally got the payoff without thinking about it, it meant that much more to me. And I was like, wow, I guess I really did fucking bust my ass, because people were like, they're either feeling bad for me and buying me flights now, or they really fucking want me at their shows. So, like,
yeah. Well, I think it's the latter. What would you say the most hours you put in on a road trip? And let's do it, like, maybe in a car of guys, but then let's also do it by yourself, because I know you made a lot of long-ass trips by yourself, which is insane.
Well, when I moved up to St. Louis, that's when I first started traveling a lot. And I remember I met up with Kerry Awful and Nick Iggy in Tennessee, did a show, went to Georgia, did a show, went to Florida, did a show, went up to New York, did a show, and went back down to Tennessee to do another show. It was like a 4 or 5 day loop. And that was the longest with people. By myself, whenever I moved back to Texas in early 2018, because Elgin fucked up and made us all fucking hated by everybody for a little bit. Good thing that got cleared.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I went back to Texas, and I was taking bookings from there, and I wasn't at the point where people were flying me yet. I had just done the Top Prospect stuff. I got to wrestle Silas for the TV title in San Antonio on the main card of ROH in summer of 2018, and then Evolve came calling. But prior to that, in that timeline, I was driving to Chicago every 2 weeks by myself from Crane, Texas, which was a 19-hour drive one way, just to make the AEW show so that I could retain my spot, because I didn't want to lose it to anybody else. But the longest trip I ever did was from Crane, Texas. I drove to Chicago by myself, wrestled immediately, didn't get to sleep that whole time because I left late because I'm a fucking idiot. Drove to Chicago, wrestled, had to drive from Chicago to Los Angeles and make it within 42 hours. I got there in 35, and then 7 hours I got to sleep and then wake up for the New Japan Dojo, which I did for fucking a week after that. And then, so 19 plus 35, whatever that is, by myself, and then back to Texas.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
that's 54 hours.
That was brutal as fuck. I wanted to die. I remember pulling over and wanting to cry because I wanted to sleep so bad, but I couldn't because I had to make it because I just didn't want to disappoint Shibata.
Yeah.
Dude, it was intense, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, you talk about sacrifice, and we talk about, you know, young kids when they get in the business, like, you got to pay your dues and, like, put in the time. Yeah. But, like, I think, like, again, that's why I think I use you as an example. It's like you are the leading example when it comes to, like, guys who are willing to, like, sacrifice and put